Alex, is the Job Guide 360 interview guide worth it?
Honestly, yes, the guide is highly insightful. I recommend it to everyone.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're operating in a startup or, leading a team that feels like one, speed is just everything. Today, we're diving deep into a really critical role in that environment. The Agile Product Manager, the APM, the strategic traffic controller, if you will.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And our source material today, it isn't just some generic job description. It's actually a detailed map framed by these really insightful, high-leverage interview questions that define what mastery looks like for an APM.
Okay.
So our mission really is to extract that strategic mindset. What's the essential knowledge you need to handle that constant tension, between speed, quality, and then boom, the inevitable pivot.
Right, the chaos. It sounds less like project management sometimes and more like being a crisis diplomat.
Maybe a bit of both.
We want to give you, the listener, the insights to move beyond just like going through the motions of agile ceremonies and really start thinking like that strategic partner who can deliver predictable results even when things are totally unpredictable. So let's unpack this. Where do we start? Foundational choices.
Yeah, exactly. Let's start there. How do you even pick the right way to organize the work? How do you establish that flow in the first place?
Okay, so the first big choice, the really basic one, Scrum, Kanban, or maybe Scrumban. How do you get past just using whatever framework the last company used, and actually pick the right one for this team right now?
You absolutely have to tailor it, and it's got to be tailored strictly to the context, specifically the nature of the work itself and how predictable or unpredictable it is.
Okay.
So Scrum is generally the default, right, for feature-heavy product teams. Works well when you can actually build clear increments and commit to a short-term goal.
Defined increments, a defined commitment. Yeah, that makes sense for building new stuff.
Totally. But, and this is key, if your team is constantly getting hammered with interruptions like a heavy support load, constant maintenance fires, unpredictable stuff.
Right, the plan goes out the window on day one.
Exactly. Then Scrum just becomes frustrating because those interruptions constantly break that sprint commitment. And that's where Kanban really shines. It's built for flow. The source material actually highlighted this fantastic detail. They switched one support-heavy team from Scrum to Kanban. Just that change. Cut their lead time by 30%.
Wow, 30%, just by changing the process.
Yeah, simply by acknowledging the reality of those interrupts and managing the flow instead of fighting it. That's, optimizing for reality, not just using buzzword.
That's huge. Okay, let's talk about the next headache, estimation. It causes so much friction, doesn't it? Story points, t-shirt sizes, or maybe even this no estimates idea. What's the pragmatic, sensible approach here?
Yeah, it's a minefield. The expert APM avoids getting bogged down in false precision. Estimation is really a tool for communication, first and foremost.
Communication, not prediction.
Well, prediction at a high level, maybe. Story points are useful, mainly in Scrum, for forecasting capacity, yes. But maybe more importantly, they act as a prompt. They help uncover complexity during planning. Like, if one story is a 2 and another that looks similar is an 8, that forces a conversation. Okay, wait, what are we missing here?
Got it. So it sparks the right questions. And t-shirt sizing, that's just like a later version.
Pretty much. T-shirt sizes, small, medium, large. Those are best reserved for really early roadmap shaping. When things are still fuzzy, you just need a rough sense of effort, without spending days refining details that will change anyway.
Right. Don't overinvest early. So when can we finally escape estimation altogether? When does no estimates actually work?
It works when your flow metrics are stable and critically trusted, especially your cycle time.
Cycle time meaning how long things take to get done.
Exactly. From start to finish or in progress to done. Based on solid historical data, let's say 85% of your tickets are completed within 3 days.
Then who cares if it's 3 points or 5 points?
Precisely. The need for complex relative sizing kind of disappears. The APM's focus has to be on using that actual historical data to calibrate the process, not on chasing perfect accuracy on every single little ticket.
Okay, makes sense. So let's talk discipline within the sprint cycle itself. Operational excellence. We've all seen teams do the planning, the stand-ups, the retros. But what are the absolute non-negotiables? The things that separate a really effective APM from someone who's just, taking notes?
It really boils down to enforcement and follow-through. So first, planning is basically worthless if you haven't started with a properly groomed backlog.
Meaning clear requirements.
Yeah, clear acceptance criteria. You cannot accept ambiguity going into a sprint. If you don't know what done looks like, you can't really start.
Right. Can't hit a target you can't see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that links directly to the second non-negotiable, explicitly confirming the definition of done the DoD during planning. But here's the catch.
It's easy to say you confirmed it.
Right? It's easy to check a box. The great APM ensures that DoD is actually tight. Does done mean deployed to production? Does it mean passing a security scan? Does it mean documentation updated? The tighter that definition, the faster and more reliable your feedback loop.
Which makes the review ceremony super important then. You can't just talk about what you did.
Absolutely. That's the third step. The team must demo actual working software in the sprint review. No PowerPoint, no, here's the code I wrote. Stakeholders need to see it, click it, validate the real thing.
Real feedback on real product.
Yes. And the final step, the one that really separates talk from action, is the retrospective follow-up. You have to treat the improvement actions identified in the retro like any other piece of work.
Assign owners due dates.
Exactly. Put them in the backlog. Track them. If you don't give improvement work the same rigor as product features, guess what? It never happens.
Okay, now for the really fun part. The startup crucible. This is where that strategic metal gets tested, right? The team's humming along, focused, and then bam, the CEO, maybe a key investor, comes in with a huge strategic pivot, mid-sprint. How do, as the APM, handle that urgency without just completely destroying team morale and derailing everything?
Yeah, this is a classic startup life.
Yeah.
And it tests your ability to shield the team's focus while still being responsive to the business realities. There's a sequence the expert APM follows. First, you absolutely acknowledge the urgency, show you understand why it's important.
Don't just say, no, we're in a sprint.
Definitely not. Second, immediately pulling your tech lead, your product lead, whoever, and assess the impact, technical impact, product impact. But the third step, this is the most crucial. You must quantify the trade-offs. You have to go back to the CEO or whoever made the request and clearly state, okay, we can do this, but it means X, Y, and Z currently in the sprint will not get done. This goal will be missed.
You force an informed decision, make them see the cost, not just the shiny new thing.
Exactly. You make the trade-off explicit. And if the change really is that urgent, then you negotiate a formal sprint replan, not just stuffing it in. You openly pull lower priority items out of the current sprint to make room. And here's a vital little step. Document that decision. A quick note, email, Slack message, whatever.
Why is documenting it so important?
So the team understands the why. This wasn't arbitrary, it was a market-driven decision. And it means you can look back in the root cause in the retro. Was it poor planning? A sudden market shift? Transparency here is key to maintaining trust and preventing resentment.
Makes sense. Okay, speaking of pressure cooker environments, tight resources, insane time to market demands, prioritization is everything. That backlog can just feel like this overwhelming monster. What frameworks actually help bring focus when, everything feels like P0?
Pragmatic frameworks are definitely your friend here. Things like WSJF, weighted shortest job first, or Rice scoring can help bring some objectivity. But honestly, the framework is just a tool. The real strategic move is working closely with your engineering team to slice work differently.
Slice it how?
Into thinner vertical increments. Instead of building, say, the whole user profile feature layer by layer horizontally database, then API, then UI.
You build one tiny end-to-end piece first.
Exactly. Deliver the absolute smallest piece of functionality that provides some user value end to end. Maybe just viewing the profile name first, then add editing, then add the avatar.
And why is that vertical slicing so powerful in a fast-moving startup?
Because you deliver actual value much sooner. You get real usage data faster, which lets you validate demand or invalidate assumptions way earlier. The source material actually gave a concrete example of this. A team used WSJF for priority, but combined it with aggressive vertical slicing. They shipped a true MVP 2 whole sprints earlier than their initial estimate.
2 sprints? That's huge in startup time.
That's measurable acceleration right there.
Okay, let's tackle the age-old battle. Technical debt versus new features. You need both. Long-term health and short-term wins. That idea of reserving, say, 10-20% capacity for tech debt sounds nice in theory. But how do you actually defend that slice when the founder is breathing down your neck for a critical feature launch?
You defend it by changing the conversation. It's not maintenance, it's investment. And you can only do that if you make the tech debt visible. You have to quantify its impact.
How do you quantify tech debt?
Show the data. This specific piece of outdated code, this brittle system, is actively dragging down our feature velocity by 15%. Or this lack of test automation introduces a critical reliability risk that could cost us X if it fails.
Ah, so you tie the debt directly to a business cost or risk.
Precisely. That 10-20% slice, It isn't just random cleanup time. You reserve that capacity for debt and platform work that specifically enables or accelerates upcoming high-priority features. If you can show that fixing this debt now will make feature X twice as fast to build next quarter, that's an investment. If the debt isn't directly tied to an immediate or near-term product goal, maybe it doesn't make the cut right now. It's still a strategic trade-off.
That completely reframes the discussion. Okay, last high-pressure scenario for this section. You've got 6 weeks. 6. To launch an MVP, time is basically the only resource. What's the execution plan?
Ruthless focus.
Yep.
And extreme clarity from day one. Week 1 has to be about absolute alignment. Get everyone in a room, nail down a sharp single-sentence problem statement, and agree on one single must-have outcome for this MVP. What is the one thing it absolutely must achieve?
One outcome, not 5.
1. Then, define the absolute smallest, most coherent slice of functionality that delivers that one outcome. Nothing more.
Okay, you're aligned. How do you keep the pedal down for the next 5 weeks?
Weekly milestones. These act as internal demos, forcing integration and providing checkpoints. You have to prioritize instrumented learning over feature completeness. Get analytics in from day one. You need to know immediately if anyone is actually using this thing and how.
So you're ready to learn and adapt fast.
You have to be. And the single most critical decision point probably comes after week 2 or 3. Based on that very early feedback, maybe internal users, maybe a few friendly customers, you must be prepared to ruthlessly cut scope. Speed here means being willing to kill your darlings if they don't directly serve that one must-have outcome you agreed on.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Measuring success and managing the outside world stakeholders. We see dashboards overflowing with metrics all the time. But which delivery metrics, which team health metrics are genuinely actionable? The ones that tell you something useful, not just vanity numbers.
Yeah, you want to focus on flow and quality. For flow, the absolute essentials are cycle time.
How long stuff takes, basically.
Right, from in progress to done. Then throughput, how many work items like stories or tasks you actually finish per time period, like a week or a sprint. And the third one is work in progress, or WIP.
WIP, why is that one so important? It feels kind of internal.
Oh, it's probably the most powerful lever you, as an APM or team lead, actually have direct control over. High WIP is like sludge in the system. It slows everything down, increases context switching, hides bottlenecks.
Okay.
By tracking those 3 flow metrics, cycle time, throughput, WIP, you can usually pinpoint one primary constraint. Maybe your WIP is too high. Maybe your cycle time for bug fixes is unacceptable. And then you run a measurable experiment to improve just that one thing. That's the difference between vanity metrics and actionable intelligence. You pick one thing and try to fix it.
Got it. And on the quality side, what should we track there?
2 key ones are defect escape rate, how many bugs actually slip through testing and make it into production.
Gosh.
Yeah. And change failure rate, what percentage of your deployments cause some kind of immediate problem or rollback. These numbers tell you pretty directly if your definition of done is too loose or if you're sacrificing stability for speed somewhere in the process.
That really paints a picture of team health, which leads to the next point. Team maturity. How does an APM help a team move beyond just, doing agile, like robotically running the ceremonies, to truly being agile, where the mindset shifts towards being autonomous, outcome-focused?
It's fundamentally about coaching and empowerment, moving away from command and control. So you shift sprint goals away from being task lists, like complete these 10 tickets, to outcome-based goals. Yeah. Like enable users to successfully purchase product X via the new checkout flow by Friday.
Yeah.
It focuses on the why, the value delivered. You also crucially enforce limiting WIP, but then you empower the engineers to figure out how to achieve the outcome. Let them split stories themselves. Encourage them to deploy smaller changes independently, more frequently.
So less top-down direction on the how. What's the sign that a team is really getting there? That they've made that leap in maturity?
You see increased deployment frequency, definitely. Smaller batches, faster flow. But the real indicator, when the team starts autonomously proposing and running their own process improvement experiments, they identify a bottleneck in the retro and they come up with a plan to fix it, without the APM having to drive every single improvement initiative. That's true ownership.
That's a great goal. Okay, now for maybe the toughest challenge, politics. You've got conflicting stakeholders, opinionated founders demanding sales teams, product managers, maybe even loud customers. Everyone thinks their priority is the only priority. How do you, as the APM, step into that mess and actually facilitate alignment? How do you force those difficult trade-off decisions?
Rule number 1. Never let these decisions happen randomly in a hallway conversation or based on who shouts loudest. You need structure and data.
So call a meeting?
A focused, short decision workshop. Bring the key stakeholders together. Use a transparent framework, maybe simple impact versus effort, or add risk. Have clear criteria. Bring data to the table. Usage data showing what customers actually do. Deal context from sales, what's the revenue impact, and then critically, you propose a phased plan or options.
Can you give a quick example? What does a phased plan look like in that scenario?
Sure. Let's say sales needs a really complex feature right now to close a massive deal. Engineering says it's 3 sprints of work. Instead of just saying yes or no, you might propose, okay, phase 1, we can build a lightweight, maybe manual workaround for just this one deal in 2 weeks. Phase 2, we'll schedule the robust, scalable platform solution for next quarter, but it means feature B gets pushed out.
So you offer a tactical fix and a strategic path?
Exactly. You make the trade-offs explicit and force the decision. If we do this tactical workaround for sales now, we accept the tech debt it creates, and D, we defer feature B. Are we all aligned on that choice and its consequences? It forces clarity.
That sounds stressful, but effective. Okay, last piece. Communicating upwards. Executives, investors, they don't have time for jargon or deep dives into Jira tickets. How do you communicate progress and, maybe more importantly, risk really succinctly to that audience?
Keep it incredibly concise. A one-page update is often best, and it has to be focused entirely on business outcomes and strategic health, not technical details.
What goes on that one-pager?
Clear alignment to the company's OKRs or strategic goals. Show how the work connects. A RAGI status red, amber, green for overall project health is essential for quick reads.
Right, the stoplight view.
Exactly. Then you absolutely must include the top 1-3 risks, but critically, with their mitigation strategies, don't just list problems, show you're managing them. And the most important part, often missed, clearly highlight any decisions needed from leadership. Don't just report status. Present options like scenario A costs X and delays Y, scenario B impacts Z, ask them to choose the trade-off.
So you shift the conversation from just reporting to them to enabling them to make informed strategic decisions.
Precisely.
Yay.
Make it easy for them to steer the ship based on clear choices. Avoid the tech jargon, focus on business impact and required decisions. Hashtag outro.
Wow, okay. This deep dive really crystallizes the APM role, doesn't it? It's less about managing tasks and more about being that central hub, that center of gravity in all the chaos. You're facilitating these structured, transparent trade-offs, keeping the team focused while making sure leadership has the info they need to make the hard calls.
Absolutely. I think the real mastery we saw is in that constant balancing act. You're protecting long-term health, like carving out that 10-20% capacity for strategic tech debt, the investment piece. But you're also driving those short-term wins, accelerating delivery by slicing work vertically, keeping that definition of done really tight and meaningful.
Yeah, and the core identity seems to be using data, real data, cycle time, throughput, WIP to drive actual measurable improvements in the process, while at the same time resisting that urge to overcomplicate the tools. Keep the workflow simple, maybe just to do, in progress, done. Make sure the system is trusted, not burdensome.
Exactly. Keep it simple and effective. And that actually leads nicely into a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. We touched on how, in the heat of a startup crisis, a good APM sometimes has to step up and wear multiple hats, right? Maybe act as an interim QA person or manage a release if things are falling apart just to keep the project moving.
Right, filling the gaps temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily. But here's the thing. The true sign of process maturity, the mark of a system that's actually improving, isn't the APM heroically doing 3 jobs. It's ensuring that those temporary duties get handed off quickly to permanent owners with clear, documented playbooks created during or right after the crisis. So the question for you is, how often do you actually see those critical ad hoc tasks get properly documented and successfully transitioned once the immediate fire's out? Because if that APM is still manually managing releases 6 months later because nobody else picked it up or documented how, well, the project hasn't really matured. It's just found a new, probably overworked bottleneck.